Good to go? Sir. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our meeting tonight. Glad you could join us. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Law, notification of this meeting has been sent to our official newspapers and other publications circulated in the Borough of Old-Tappan and notice posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall. Please be reminded that all our meetings are videotaped and added to our website by tomorrow or the next day. And please note the fire exits are at the main door of the council chambers where you entered and in the rear of the council chambers. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gallagher?
Here.
Councilman Benatti? Councilman Boyce? Councilman Guan?
Here.
Councilman Marty?
Here.
Councilwoman Massaro?
Here.
Councilman Yu?
Here. Would you please stand and join me for the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, just a minor change to our agenda that's listed there is that we are going to appoint a new police patrol officer. Thought it was great for the football team to be in the room and meet our new police officer under these circumstances, and maybe not under another circumstances. So I thought that was good there. So the appointment resolution, I will ask acting council president, can you to please read?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'm happy to read this resolution for the patrol officer appointment. Whereas the police committee and the mayor and council of let me start over. Resolution, whereas the police committee of the mayor and council and have recommended to the mayor and council that Drillen Fazliu be appointed as a patrol officer in the police department of the borough of Old-Tappan. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and council of the borough of Old-Tappan, county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, that the recommendation of the police committee is hereby accepted. Be it further resolved that the appointment of Drillen Fazliu as a police officer in the police department of the borough of Old-Tappan is effective on February 4th, 2025. Be it finally resolved that certified copies of this resolution be forwarded to the police chief and patrol officer Drillen Fazliu.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the appointments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Guan?
Yes.
Councilman Marty?
Yes.
Councilwoman Massaro?
Yes.
Councilman Yu?
Yes.
Now it is my honor to administer the oath of office to Dylan.
Gotta choose.
You're all welcome up here.
Go for it. Go for it. All of you come up. They'll get a picture.
Okay, congratulations again. Please repeat the left hand on the Bible, right hand up. Okay. Yeah, you want to dance? All right, please repeat after me. I, Dylan Fazliu.
I don't
Oh, that was close. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I further solemnly swear
I further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office of patrol officer
perform all the duties of the office of patrol officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. We get a picture?
Before I was out here, but I'm leaving.
All finished, sure.
We don't want to be in the picture.
Rolling deep.
Big family.
Hold on, this.
What do we think?
Yeah.
This side needs to switch. Yeah, sideways.
From Jersey also. They made it all the way there on TV.
Better buy some food.
My wife's taking care of her mom in Philadelphia, 24/7. From home alone. See?
Congratulations
Things
and
we
welcome.
do. Yes, we miss you.
I'll read
Should I
that.
just,
I'll read up to, and I'll get up to the trophy. Have this turned over to
All
their
right.
favorite fan.
sounds excellent.
All right, our next order of business is, one of my favorite things to do is to recognize a group of folks or an individual for outstanding accomplishments, and that is for the Northern Valley Regional High School varsity football team winning their state champion. So the mayor and council, we have a proclamation honoring your outstanding achievements. Whereas the Northern Valley, Old Tappan, and before I'm going to go back a second. So I'm asking what I think is the team's, one of their favorite fans is going to help me with this resolution tonight, is Councilwoman Massaro. So there's no question that the Facebook post, the Instagram post on all the achievements, I think up to the hour, up to the end of the second quarter. So constantly throughout all the games. So she's going to help me get through this resolution. So proclamation. So whereas the Northern Valley Old Tappan 2024 varsity football team on November 15, 2024 won the New Jersey State Sectional Championship. Whereas on November 22nd, 2024, they won the New Jersey State Group Semifinal. And whereas on December 1st, 2024, they won the New Jersey State Group 3 Championship by defeating Mainland High School 28-16 at Rutgers University. And whereas the team finished 2024 season with an impressive record of 12-1, becoming the second public school in North Jersey to win the state group football title. Now therefore, I, Thomas Gallagher, Mayor of the Borough of Old Tappan, County of Bergen, and the State of New Jersey, on behalf of the Mayor and Council and our residents, honor the courage, determination, and success of the 2024 Northern Valley Regional High School at Old Tappan varsity football team, and do hereby proclaim the admiration of our entire community and congratulate Coach Brian Dunn, assistant coaches Peter Dunn, Matt Doherty, Andrew Puente, Brendan O'Neill, Ryan Steffner, Joseph Claus, Brandon Gregory, Scott Essman, Sal DiBenedetto, Thomas Dunn, and the rest of the team, and I will turn it over to Councilwoman Massaro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The members of the 2024 state championship football team are as follows: Abdul Abdel-Latif, Alex Arecchio, Jack Horgan, Cortez Gomez, Michael Gracie, Nicholas Rossi, Robert Agins, Ronan Mulady, Ryan Montevergan, Troy Essman, Aidan Nally, Anthony Maselli, Damian Dutois, Devin Radoyan, Joseph Crescitelli, Joseph Puccio, Joshua Lizama, Marco Demore, Matteo Morrissey, Nico Forcelati, Ryan Michelli, Walker Lynch, Yusel Aiken, Zachary Miller, Adrian Burke, Anthony Herbert, Caden Pemberton, Chase Totten, Christakis Nicolau, Christopher Lanzaro, Crosby Levine, Daniel McAvoy, Dugan Smith, Dylan Park, Jackson Weaver, John Bilali, Joshua Silverman, Julius Lai, Junie Kim, Leo Etter, Mario Viganola, Nicholas Blanchard, Omar Hassan, Peter Ognabeni, Prince Morrison, Riley McNamara, Rocco Bartolomeo, Sam Bilali, Shane Small, Zachary Michelli, and team manager Kira Dunn.
We're gonna stay here,
You're gonna stay there?
because I don't think,
Let's we're gonna probably have to do 2 or 3, so let's get called to,
In the
you guys are gonna have to.
yeah. Oh, well, thank you. You really are their biggest fan.
Oh, no,
You weren't in school. You weren't here. You weren't in school. They didn't hear. Yeah, you came at 1:39.
How about, if we move the tables, do you think they should go right in front? Or are we gonna be able to?
It's good stuff.
You guys got to
Yeah, we'll play it.
hug each other. Sideways, like this. Like, oh, they.
Wait, no smile? OT football.
Yeah. NBFC, say it.
NVOT. Good. We got an injury. Congratulations again, guys. Okay. Oh. Hey, coach. Have you play the boys around?
Congrats on RPI. Congrats, guys. Thank you. Good job, guys. Very proud of you. Good job, man. Congratulations. Dugan. I'll give you a hello. You hear me?
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you would have totally butchered that.
Oh, would have killed you. Names? Yeah.
You get in trouble with the,
I know I did. You know what?
The name get trouble.
I wasn't prepared. You get thrown this stuff at the last minute.
just tell Tom not to. Oh, okay. Now they should. Oh, see, now.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to come in.
All right, our next order of business is the public hearing on the Oaks Park House Green Acres program, and Council President, if you can just touch on that, I think we just need to formalize.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the public hearing for the proposed Oaks House project. It is a Green Acres project, and at this time, I'd like to bring it up. I'd like to open it up to the public for comment or questions.
You have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Would anybody from the public like to be heard? I think we mentioned a lot of this last meeting, but on the public hearing on the Oaks Park House. Yes, sir. I know who you are, but name and address for the record.
Jim Moody Jr., 16 Autumn Lane, Oak Fair. I guess really the only question I have, because I haven't been following so much, I heard in the past all the discussions you had and the demolition, and I'm just wondering if the building is going to be basically the same that you guys were talking about last.
Yeah, we had a drawing of it. I don't know, do you have a drawing there? It is, it's
There's a picture of it by the park, you can see the other side.
Yeah, oh, okay.
And
So, yeah, it's pretty much.
It's very, very similar. Very similar.
It's largely going to be on the same footprint, right?
Okay.
It's gonna have a nice front porch to it. We envision having some chairs up there for folks, right in the center of town. We utilize that,
That's right by my house.
right by you, so we hope to see you sitting
Yeah,
in
I'll
those
see you up
chairs,
there.
Yeah.
often. And we just needed some, that was, Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was, that property was obtained with Green Acre funding. So they kind of had to sign off on what we're doing there, but the building will be a very attractive building that fits well into our town, into our look there. It'll have some of the utilities. There'll be a bathroom in there, and there'll be a small office for recreation.
Storage.
Yeah.
2 bathrooms accessible from the inside and outside.
Yeah, they have to be ADA. Yep.
And also, like the mayor said, it will be recreational, it has to stay with recreation.
Oh. All right, cool.
We're excited to get it up.
Yeah,
We
me
are.
too. Yeah,
We
definitely.
hope we're hoping early summer and,
Mhm. Is it the prefab thing?
it's a,
That Ron was
No,
talking about?
it's not prefab.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay, cool. Good.
So-
All right, well, because I was on the Oaks Park committee too, way back when.
way back when.
Yeah, so that was part of the reason I was interested.
Okay.
I have a question, why didn't you take that house down?
I almost just said the same thing.
Because the town took it over, and, then we got disbanded, and that was it.
I was-
Would have been extra parking.
I was thinking the same
It
thing.
was still in, well,
Yeah.
great shape, but decent shape back then. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it got to be unsafe, so we had to do what we had to do.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else from the public on the Oaks House? Okay, seeing none, motion to close?
So moved?
Second.
Second? Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is a resolution for a veteran-friendly municipal program. I'm going to ask that we table this until next meeting. Councilman Boyce was kind of championing that for us, and he's out ill tonight, so I'm just going to ask if we can move that to our next meeting. Okay. Councilman, our consent resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to read the consent resolution for tonight. Resolution, be it resolved that the following resolutions placed on the agenda by consent require no discussion, and the same having been previously reviewed by each councilperson, be and are hereby adopted in their entirety by the mayor and council of the Borough of Old Tappan. Bills and claims, release cash bonds and escrow, authorized transfer of 2024 budget appropriation reserves, temporary emergency resolution, golf course management services agreement, golf course concession agreement, contract award, golf course grounds maintenance, source well, contract award, police vehicle, Cranford Police Cooperative Pricing System, contract award, police vehicle, Jim Shorkey Auto Group.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on our consent resolution? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Vaughn,
Yes.
Councilman Marty,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarrow,
Yes.
Councilman Dean.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to new business. First item is the streetscape plan. I'll do my best to describe what this is, because it's in its early stages. Myself, Councilman Boyce, and Borough Administrator Havarilla, and our grant writer, even though her Zoom wasn't working too good, we had a meeting with some state DOT, there were some federal folks on there. It's a state and federal program. And in a nutshell, we're trying to get ahead of seeking some grants to really improve our downtown area. I think, Anna, you had mentioned that maybe Norwood has done something that was one of the closest.
Norwood, Northville, they've done streetscape, and basically it's not just beautification, but also safety.
Pedestrian safety and
It encompasses everything.
so we had there's a lot of stuff to do prior to really filling out the application, and, our borough engineer will be involved. Councilman Boyce graciously volunteered, or was voluntold, with his expertise that he'll assist in the matter. We need to really come up with a plan, come up with some preliminary drawings, some things that we're looking to accomplish, from safety to beautification. It even couldn't involve New Jersey Transit rerouting a bus route because they go by the Enclave now. So there's a lot of things that go into that. So we jumped on an initial Teams call with maybe a dozen different people and from different capacities with the state and federal program, and they kind of guided us what our next steps are. We're under a tight guideline to get into this,
We don't know
if we're gonna get in here, but it might,
Because this is so competitive,
yeah,
because you might have to again apply for it, so.
right. And it might not be the end of the world if we can't get it into this round, because I think we learned a lot from that team's meeting. But at the same time, as we deal with, what our fourth round of affordable housing and what things could look like, it actually might be better in the long run to say, let's get that finalized, what are we going to do? And then, really come up with a plan that fits what we're gonna be doing with our fourth round. So, we'll see, but just wanted to report on it. It was a productive meeting last week or so, and just wanted to report on it. That's something that we're working on. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
How much money is involved in something like that?
I think their
It-
top was 1.5.
1.5 million is the top that they'll give.
So that includes walkways,
You can
lighting?
say it is, so you-
Lighting, greenery, ADA cutouts, rerouting some things here, but really on I would say beautification and safety are the two driving factors of such a thing.
So, and with us, because it's basically county roads, so the county has to agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of homework with us, and not only to get it, but after you get it, there is a lot more too. And when I think within that 1.5 is another 10%, was it 10%?
For the design assistance or so?
No, for the inspector, who has to be bid out to, at the end.
Because it's a federal project, so they have their own inspectors come with a fee. Go figure. So, but yeah, that's.
Is there a deadline? I know we might wait. Is there a certain time frame?
Deadline for this round is really for us is like late March.
Oh, really?
It's tight.
It's really, oh, for this one, but we can do the
It's
next
a year and a half.
It's probably it's usually on an 18 months.
year and a half cycle,
Yeah.
and that million and a half will still be there in the next cycle?
We're hoping more.
Or does it go up with inflation? I mean, you don't know.
They didn't tell us that.
They-
Yeah.
But it does go out. It's not like it's this year and we're done. But the good thing about doing what we did is, you can't, when you read the application or read it, it sounds completely different than what they told us. Because
Yeah.
there was a design element. So we thought, okay, this is what we want to do. Give us a designer, tell us, and everything. Well, that's not it. The design element is actually, we have to
We design it,
design,
yeah.
and their designer kind of tweaks it or something like that.
Yeah.
Tells you if it can be code.
Yeah.
So it's very competitive, extremely competitive.
But it's something that's on our radar, and if not this time, maybe next time. And it would be nice to, and again, I don't think it's the end of the world if it's not this time, that again, we get a lot of the other projects that we know we have to do pertaining to our downtown area. Who knows what Bi-State's gonna look like in a year and a half and things like that, so.
Could they get involved, the owners of Bi-State?
If it involves them, they would need to somewhat endorse it. I don't know about financially, but if we got a letter of endorsement saying, hey, this is great, and if you do this, we're gonna do this, and we can envision us doing this, so that they said when we submit the application, all of that, from starting with Bergen County, but starting with property owners, that they support such an initiative, and all that helps. So our downtown is Bi-State Plaza. So if we can kind of work with them on, over the next 15 or 18 months, on some sort of, what do they have in mind? I don't know. I've had a couple of conversations. They don't know yet.
So this was approached with them, or, in other words, did you approach this?
I've had conversations with their attorney, a gentleman from town, so I've had a couple of conversations, and what he said at the time is that there's I guess there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, you'll say. There's like 10 owners.
Right.
That are involved in that business, the plaza business, so they're really not sure. But I know that you had some conversations, I think, a year ago or so. So if, I don't know if you have any ins there, we'd love to.
No, but I'd like to bring them to the table and see.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So, okay, anything else? All right, thank you. Next order of business is ordinance 1271-25, facilities usage policy for Councilwoman Massaro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a first reading from the Borough Clerk's Office, ordinance number 1271-25, first reading, facilities usage policy. Resolution, whereas an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Repealing and Replacing 179.19 through 179.27 of the ordinances of the Borough of Old Pan entitled Facility Usage Policy," was introduced at a meeting of the Mayor and Council held on the third day of February 2025. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Old Pan, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that ordinance number 1271-25 be and the same is hereby adopted on the first reading, and be it further resolved that said ordinance number 1271-25 will be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the said Mayor and Council to be held on the 18th day of February 2025 at 7:30 in the evening or soon thereafter, as the matter can be reached in the council chambers at Borough Hall, 227 Old Pan Road, Old Pan, New Jersey, at which time and place all persons who may be interested will be given an opportunity to be heard regarding ordinance number 1271-25. And be it finally resolved that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the introduction and notice of hearing as required by law.
Second.
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 Any questions on this ordinance?
Just a quick comment, right? So in general, and we've read this before, this is basically moving the decision-making from the council to the recreation director and borough administrator and/or, right? I haven't seen any requests here as a council person, so I don't know how they would come in here before. But as part of the Recreation Commission, I think the power to the recreation director in knowing the fields, knowing the different clubs, how they're affiliated, who they're affiliated with, whether they're a club team, high school feeder, that decision-making should be with the Recreation Commission and Recreation Director because they understand the teams. They understand where the players are residents of. Are they Old Pan? Are they different towns? Sure. And so, as a council person, we're a little bit more removed, but the power to the Recreation Director and the Borough Administrator, I think, is appropriate, and I think that's what this
Yeah, and I think
clarifies.
it spells out pretty
right?
good on club teams versus
Yeah.
non-club teams, for-profit, not-for-profit, things that are associated with the schools.
Yeah, it used to be a recommendation, right, from the Recreation Director to the council, and then, just approved it in knowing that they would have the expertise, but this, to me, is fine.
I have a question that's kind of completely different. So I know there's been some conversations on residents utilizing a field house, the pavilion at Stone Point for a private party, we'll call it. And I would have hoped that this would have maybe addressed that. Now, I did notice on page 2, I didn't reference the part there, H, if you have it there, is borough residents for a family event. There's no fee to have a field or I guess the pavilion.
You cannot privatize the park. They cannot use it it has to be open for anyone.
So,
Am I correct?
Yeah, under Green Acres, yes.
just using me as an example, I could have a big party and my backyard might not be big enough for it. I can just go down. So I fill out an application and I have a party for 100 people at the pavilion on a Sunday afternoon at Stone Point, and I pay no fee. Who's
I
responsible?
think we still, do we get the $250, I think there's $250.
It's a security deposit.
Security
Right.
deposit.
Okay, so that's for removal of garbage and things like that. So if I leave it, using me as an example, if I leave it trashed, okay, I lose my security deposit.
Yeah, and you lose your right of using it again, because no way you're getting it again.
Okay, so under because it's Green Acres, it's available for all residents. There is an application, there is no fee, but again, there is a security deposit.
Okay. But I want to confirm that the Recreation Department has the permit and the priority over a family using the field, right? So if baseball has a game, they have the permit for the whole park and no one can use it for a private party.
Yes.
Right.
So if someone were to rent out the pavilion, let's say, that is what they're,
Yeah.
that's what they're having. They can't say, okay, we also have the fields too. The courts and the fields are still open to the public if they have to be.
Right.
And the certificate of insurance is also outlined in this also, that
Oh,
must
okay.
be.
The one thing, though, I don't know if you guys want to look at it, because it did come up this year, something about having a barbecue and.
Open fire.
You know, because you have a lot of new families coming in, they have smaller. So one of the questions, well, can we do a little barbecue at the pavilion? We have nothing that over.
Would that fall under fire prevention? Yeah. I believe
So if they were gonna do.
we can
a
check
small
with-
barbecue, because
we could check with Evan
yeah,
on whether or not
I
that's,
don't know if that would be, under a small barbecue, I don't know if that would fall under that.
Yeah, looking outside, yeah, yes, it will be fire prevention. Okay, all right.
Is that something we want to,
That's
We
the
should
only
buddy.
thing,
Add.
you know, there's new things, there's new families coming in, and, you know, some of them who live in the smaller places are looking to have something outdoor.
sure.
So that was a little bit of a concern, because we've never had to deal with that, so, you know, yeah, we'll look into that.
Okay.
I'll look with fire prevention.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Juan,
Yes?
Councilman Marty,
Yes.
Councilwoman Massaro,
Yes.
Councilman Yu.
Yes.
All right, next order of business is ordinance 1272, that looks like, dash 25. That is for Councilman Marty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas an ordinance entitled an ordinance amending Schedule B of the provisions of ordinance number 681-99 as amended by ordinance 1100-66 to amend the length of service award program of the Borough of Old Tappan was introduced at a meeting of the mayor and council held on the third day of February 2025. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Old Tappan, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that ordinance number 1272-25 be and the same is hereby adopted on the first reading, and be it further resolved that said ordinance number 1272-25 will be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the said mayor and council to be held on the 18th day of February 2025 at 7:30 in the evening or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached in the council chambers at Borough Hall, 227 Old Tappan Road, Old Tappan, New Jersey, at which time and place all persons who may be interested will be given an opportunity to be heard regarding ordinance number 1272-25, and be it finally resolved that the borough clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the introduction of the notice of hearing as required by law. The within resolution was duly adopted by the Borough Council at meeting on February 3rd, 2025.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion on this, amending this ordinance? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Juan.
Yes.
Councilman Marty,
Yes.
Councilwoman Massaro.
Yes.
Councilman Yu.
Yes.
Okay, our last ordinance tonight is 1273-25, and that is for Councilwoman Massaro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From the Borough Clerk's Office, ordinance number 1273-25, first reading, amend recreation fees ordinance. Resolution, whereas an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 119 of the Code of the Borough of Old Tappan, Article 3, Recreation Program Fees, was introduced at a meeting of the Mayor and Council held on the third day of February 2025. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Old Tappan, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that ordinance number 1273-25 be and the same is hereby adopted on the first reading, and be it further resolved that said ordinance number 1273-25 will be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the said mayor and council to be held on the 18th day of February 2025 at 7:30 in the evening, or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached in the council chambers at Borough Hall, 227 Old Tappan Road, Old Tappan, New Jersey, at which time and place all persons who may be interested will be given an opportunity to be heard regarding ordinance number 1273-25, and be it finally resolved that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the introduction and notice of hearing as required by law.
Second.
Any discussion on this ordinance? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Duan?
Yes.
Councilman Marty?
Yes.
Councilwoman Massaro?
Yes.
Councilman Yu?
Yes.
All right, moving along to old business, and that is snow removal ordinance, and that is for Councilman Yu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
Now, we're bringing up this idea of passing a snow removal ordinance in town. At our last meeting, we had a request by a high school student, I think he was. He said he was having trouble navigating the sidewalks because of snow on our, people didn't clear out the snow from their sidewalks. So I know we've discussed this before. I can't really say whether I'm for or against it, but I'm really open up for discussion. Pedestrian safety is a priority, but then what also concerns me is overburdening seniors, and there are areas of Old Tappan where they never see any pedestrian traffic and they have sidewalks. I hope everybody had a chance to review that proposed ordinance that we got a sample from. And I'd like to open up for discussion now amongst the council members.
I mean, in reference to overburdening seniors, I'm going to assume if they can't do their own sidewalk, that means they couldn't do their driveway. So they're outsourcing it to someone to do their driveway. So why not have them also do the sidewalk, right? So, you know, it'd be very unusual for them to be able to do their driveway, but not their sidewalk. So whatever they're doing now.
Say they don't even shovel their drives. So they don't go out in the winter time. I'm just bringing up scenarios.
I don't know how many, are there many that don't do their driveway? And it would be difficult for us to get an ambulance in there, or, you know, even to help the elderly, you know, seniors?
I believe, well, first of all, I agree with you, because that is a safety concern if they're not shoveling it. We saw an example last week where there was a call at a house that needed shoveling. Two things I want to point out. Councilman Benagi had pointed out, so I want to remind us of that there are groups in town that would be willing to help out, social services, perhaps, maybe. There have actually been people who've reached out to me since last week when our wonderful police department was nice enough to do that. In the case, there were people who reached out and said, next time this happens, let me know. So I didn't know about this. Was all the police. This was not me. So I do believe that we have young people who would be willing to do it. And to your point, if their driveway's being shoveled or having snow blower, the sidewalk, the one thing I will say is, although you said there are some areas where there is not pedestrian traffic, most of the town there is. I see people walking all the time. It's a great town. That's what we're trying to promote, people being able to walk, and I just think it's a safety issue. I saw it again today, the same places on a certain road near the high school where the kids had to walk in the street because the sidewalks there weren't. And I know I sent someone over myself personally. I said, can you go clean that out? Just personally for a safety issue. I know there's other things to consider about the sand and the ash and salt and the cleanup that entails, but I think that's minimal we haven't had too many snowfalls this winter. I don't think it would be that much of an impact compared to the safety impact of kids walking to school, residents walking their dogs, et cetera. That's just my 2 cents.
So today, I actually received an email, and this that's why I saved it, from my commander for the American Legion. A young man in Cresskill, he's a senior in high school, actually started a project called Lend a Hand, and this is right up your alley, by the way. Basically, he's a high school senior. He wanted to wait until he got his license to start this, and it's basically that I guess the borough is helping them create a list of elderly folks in town, where they have a list of, hey, if you get, and they have stipulations of how much snow. I think it's 1.5 inches. They'll actually go out there with a bunch of kids and shovel the driveway. And I think it's a wonderful, first of all, it's public service at a young age. And I think it might be a good way to get the young people involved. So I think it's pretty awesome.
If you could forward me that, that's great.
But unless you have an ordinance, there's no reason to really do it.
Right.
You're not
Right.
They're not
That's what
reaching
we
out
should
to you to
discuss.
get it done because there is no ordinance that they have to.
Right.
So if I can ask Brian, so I do believe that most towns, especially in Bergen County, 90% or more, overwhelmingly have an ordinance for snow removal. So from a legal standpoint, the fact that we don't, so the fact that we don't, and then the fact that, then if we do, tell me the pros and cons.
Well, there really isn't, there's probably no liability on the town for not having an ordinance.
Okay?
However, there is liability on the homeowner, whether there's an ordinance or not. It's better if there is an ordinance, I think, for all concerned, because people understand that they have to get it done. But if somebody slips on your sidewalk because you didn't clear the snow, you're responsible for it. So I think this is just more of an impetus to get people to do the right thing.
And just to clarify, that's the sidewalk that's in the right of way.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. But it's still the property of the homeowner. It's not, the borough doesn't take ownership of it. You just have a right to put a sidewalk there.
I have a question. If we proceed with this, is it gonna be, like, it's an optics thing, right? Today I was driving my boys to school and I was driving past Chestnut and I had a student walking on the street because it wasn't done. That's borough property. So that to me is an issue. And I mean, if people are gonna start getting dinged with summonses for not doing it, they're gonna be like, hey, well, you guys aren't doing it. So is that gonna be an issue or?
No.
No?
And so-
DPW will do borough
I
property.
think we always do.
Yeah, I don't know if it was
yeah.
just, I don't know, I just got home this morning. It snowed last night, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, they're now doing other people's sidewalks. I mean, if they didn't have to do the sidewalks for the people who aren't doing theirs, like on a street, the school,
Who's doing the school zones today? The DPW?
DPW. So other than that, they would be doing the borough property, but they have to do the school zones. Or as many as the town has allotted as
Right.
the school zone.
Yeah, I did notice by the school when I dropped them off that it was great. It was just more, and I had to, like, go on the other side of traffic, because that's my only concern is,
And at one
How's that gonna look?
time, it was supposed to be connect the dots, like they'll do this part and then the homeowners, but as the homeowners saw that the DPW is doing that, they just stopped doing it. And
yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I think people should be held accountable. I mean, it's just the right thing to do, like Brian said.
I mean, a lot of our ordinances or laws are created in reaction to something happening, right? Here, we have a chance to pass something before something happens, right? Like, the fact that we're discussing it now, and we say no, and then something happens, I mean, the fact that we're actually mentioning it pushes us in that direction, right? So I would hate to vote no and then have something happen to a young person walking on a main street.
And I read in the sample resolution that our police and our DPW would have authority over something like that, enforcing something like that.
Super, I think.
the superintendent, yeah, I mean, that's for you guys to tweak. You can.
Our
change it.
property manager
Property
also,
maintenance
yeah.
officer?
Property, yeah. you
Yeah,
can
property
add-
maintenance.
In no way is that a final if you want to change something in it.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I just, and I know I put some notes in there, and I asked everyone just to bring them, talk about them tonight. I just don't want to see someone, as we described, an elderly resident that doesn't have the ability to do that, to get dinged because they just can't do it. So as to Councilman Marty's point there, I think we have representatives from the Youth Council here tonight, so I don't know if this is something that we can, get together, and how do we, the minority of folks that can't physically do it, without having them to pay, a professional service to do it. A lot of them are on a fixed income and they don't need any extra expenses. So how do we navigate through that?
I could probably reach out to the senior group, see who needs help.
Yeah, send something
Create
to
a list.
residents.
Create a list, and it's managed maybe by our social services, and maybe the scouts want to get involved, or.
Yeah, it's a great
another-
idea.
We used to have the scouts used to do
Yeah.
something.
Really?
They used to do property maintenance, the scouts.
There were 3 football players here tonight who had all come to me that last week and said, I saw that thing, it was on News 12, by the way, so shout out to our police department. It went all the
yeah.
way,
That
it
was
went all the
great.
way to News 12. I'm sure you guys all saw that. And they said, hey, if that happens again, let us know. We'll go out and do it for free. They're not trying to make a buck.
Yeah, so it's just the
It's
logistics.
just
of
yeah.
getting-
I think either it's in the ordinance, or maybe you wrote something about under certain circumstances that it would go to the mayor?
Yeah, I asked that maybe attach to the ordinance to some sort of waiver or some sort of, form that he can say, hey, listen, I have a hardship with this, and as long as we let someone know, social services or someone else, then we can deal with that.
So maybe Brian, can you word it somehow?
What if someone's on vacation?
Maybe exclude sand from that, de-icing.
What if someone's
We
on
don't have to
vacation
clean up
for 2
sand.
weeks?
What's that?
What if someone's on vacation for 2 weeks?
They should be telling the police anyway.
Right, okay. So then that's part of the waiver is that you, yeah,
I think the fine was $100 also, was it?
you never know, like a sudden storm, you don't know. Like,
No, I think that's
Or up.
excessive.
Now, what's
Per
your,
inch.
so I did have a couple of comments, and, reserved for tonight was, do we want sand going down? Do we want everyone throwing buckets of sand
Man,
on every
Nah.
sidewalk in town?
No.
I like the de-icing, but that could get expensive.
Well, I know we have some of our environmental folks in the room. Maybe they'll, later on in the meeting, when we open this to the public, maybe they might have a comment on the environmental aspects of
salting our roads.
salting or de-icing and things like that. So I'll hold off on that. You want to get your thoughts together? What was the other, property maintenance and just not creating a hardship for someone that, can't physically do it.
All right, so it seems like most of us are in favor of moving something like this, so I guess we'll get the process started.
And it's 6 more weeks of winter,
Oh, yeah.
according to Phil. Staten Island Chuck says
Staten
maybe
Island Chuck said
not,
no.
but,
Stand
Go
up
with
and
him.
shock, really.
all righty. All right, thank you for, so we can tweak that, Brian, a little bit on the
Yeah, if you want to talk about it next meeting, that's fine. If
Okay.
you want to have everybody send their comments to me, I can try and prepare.
Let's come back next meeting with kind of a final product, and then you can pull together from there.
You want it under old business?
Yeah.
Or you want an actual ordinance to introduce?
You could still discuss it if it's introduced.
Yeah, make an ordinance. Okay, next old business is listed as Orange Town. And I know that Councilman Boyce and myself had a meeting with a couple of residents, and we reached out to our borough attorney, Brian, to get his opinion, and I know you had some comments. You
Yeah.
able to comment on that?
Well, I'm happy to prepare a resolution, which is, I think, the appropriate thing for the mayor and council to adopt a resolution, pointing out the problems that the residents of Old Tappan have with this project, but I need direction from the council as to what the objections are and if you want to offer suggestions as to what would make it more palatable.
I will reach out to Councilman Boyce and ask him to get in touch with you, and
Okay.
maybe the two of you can hammer that out, and we can have that for next meeting?
Sure.
Okay, I will do that.
What's the approval process for Orange Town right now? Is it getting close?
I can comment what I know, is that I guess they're looking to build this enormous data center somewhere really right over the line. I forget the name of that road, as you go past into Orangeburg there, it's on the left there, by the Celtics.
Verizon building.
It's way in the
Yeah.
back there, and they got approval a couple of years ago to build one, and now this is a second one. My understanding, it's pretty close to Lake Tappan, so there's just a lot of this. There's a humming noise, and some of the residents that live in that area just asked for our help. I said I'd be happy to attend the Orange Town Planning Board meeting. Sometimes it doesn't go too far when New Jersey people walk into their meetings. They don't get too excited seeing us there. So we'll do everything we can. And I think by having I'd be happy to attend myself personally, and by having an ordinance or by having a resolution saying that we're against this for a number of reasons, environmentally, the noise that it
Noise
could,
pollution,
supposedly, and this is not my field, but the amount of gigawatts, if you will, not going back.
Gigawatts.
But it's like unbelievable amount of power that these facilities just draw. It's something like they said it could, what they're proposing for this one building could actually power 80,000 homes, like throughout Rockland County. It's just,
Aren't they proposing a generating station on site as well?
On site is, yeah. So it's, and, Orange and Rockland loves it. They're gonna, create all this power. So, there are a couple of residents.
Power too, because they have like, I don't know how many air conditioning units on top of the building.
There are a lot of things. There were two residents that approached us, and we met with them here one night, and we said we'll help out as best they can. They actually, I think, hired an attorney that's looking into whether it's even legal. It's not part of their master plan or something. So they're looking at it from their standpoint, but they're looking for all the help they can get.
Next meeting is February 25th.
Okay. I'm not sure it's on there though. They weren't. They asked for a continuance, so I asked those residents to keep me in the loop. All right, but I'll get Bill to get with you.
Brian, have you ever reviewed any case law involving a project like this where people across state borders are affected?
They're supposed to take it into account, whether they do or not. You really never know.
Okay.
But, as the mayor said, they tend not to pay attention to people who aren't from their own community.
We're all one big community though, aren't we?
You can certainly go and tell them that.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, I heard a second. Yep, okay. Would anyone from the public like to be heard on any matter? Please. Hey, how you doing?
Matthew Mancinelli, live at 359 Old Japan Road. So the first thing, I just want to talk about the snow ordinance. So again, this morning there was snow, so we all had to walk in the street again, and there was a car easily doing like 10, 15 over that came around and actually went into oncoming lanes to avoid us. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention. And then regarding the Orangetown update, the youth council, we emailed their environmental committee, so they're gonna have that to talk about the environmental impacts at their next meeting there. And I think someone emailed a member of the Orangetown council, but I'm not sure, to sort of bring it to their attention. And we,
Petition, didn't they?
yeah, we began a petition to gather Old Japan residents' opinions to actually prove to them that we care and it's not
Awesome.
just.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Great job.
And then I just wanted to, in the consent resolution, I just want to know what the temporary emergency resolution is, like what that means.
That is basically.
I believe Jessica could enter that for us.
Since we're currently working on a temporary budget, we're allowed to put a certain amount of money in. So that's what we did, but then we need additional funds. So that's what we call a temporary emergency resolution. This is requesting additional funds to go into our temporary budget until we finalize our budget.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, basically our 2025 municipal budget doesn't get really passed, approved, if you will, until late March, I guess it is, and everything's done there. So, the law gives us, we can use a certain percentage of what we did last year and things like that. So we obviously have to operate, during the first quarter of 2025. So the law allows us to have funding available to us to be able to operate and run the town.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matthew.
Question.
Anybody else from the public? Patrick?
Hi again, Patrick Gamble, 16 Autumn Lane. As far as the sidewalks go, honestly, I don't know environmentally what the difference is, because there's so much salt and brine already put down on the road, how much of an impact that would be environmentally. I do know that we own a rental property in Fort Lee, and we have to make sure that they're ice-free. So if there's any kind of, chance that things are gonna ice up, then salt has to go down, has to be shoveled in, and if there's anything remaining, salt has to go down. So that's about all I know about that.
Okay.
And something else I wanted to bring up, which actually has to do with 244. And I know you guys are still in the settlement, working out all the details with the new owners now. And if they're gonna have to go through the planning board, because they're going through some changes from what I understand, so they don't have to do all that. But I was wondering if there is time or interest that to try to get, to see if the public would be interested in doing a referendum to maybe try to buy the property still?
So I'll just speak for myself right now. So we did a lot of due diligence on the property. And I look at it this way is that, I mean, we made a tough decision on not to buy the property, not to saddle the residents with, I forget the exact amount, $5.5 million, $6 million, whatever it was. We felt that money, and I say we, the council, myself and the council, felt that it wasn't in the best interest of the residents of Old Tappan. We also feel that come election day, if you don't like the decisions that we make, and I say this in a nice way, is that, we're replaceable there. So we looked into all sorts of different avenues and said, no, we didn't want to go that route. We came to a settlement that helps our fourth round. I know you're tired of hearing, everyone's tired of hearing about affordable housing. We settled, we didn't settle anything yet, but we proposed a reduced number last meeting. So I could, unless someone else from the council wants to comment on that, that's kind of the my comment on whether going out to a referendum on something like that.
If it's something where we were able to get a petition of enough voters in town.
I don't know if you can.
In the borough form of government, a petition is, you can't use a petition. It's only in certain forms of government under the Faulkner Act. We're not one of them. The other problem, frankly, is the time element. I mean, these people have been engaged in serious discussions about settlement for quite a while. And the judge was actually pushing to either get it settled or go to trial. I don't think anybody's going to wait till November to see what a referendum result would be.
Gotcha. The judge would be pushing it along.
Judge has been pushing
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then as part of the environmental committee, can I just bring up a couple of things that we talked about in our last meeting? And I wasn't here at your guys' last meeting, so I don't know if Bill, I'm sure he said the notes about what we talked about, but I just wanted to bring up a couple of things that have to do with that property.
Sure, I wasn't at the meeting either, but I don't know.
Just refresh my memory.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
a couple of the things that we talked about was, we're just wondering if we're going to do an independent traffic study. Because I don't know if the town ever did one last time. I don't remember.
All of that was done at planning board.
Right, all of it was done at the planning board, but the planning board didn't actually do an independent study. Right? It was just the developer.
The developer did most of those independent
Yeah, I think it was
studies.
just the developer.
What did the planning board ask for independent though?
I think it was a tree, was it the tree
The
count?
tree, yeah, which was
Tree count.
much different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's they did.
Yes.
So just wondering, I don't know if this is something we need to talk to the planning board about, but I just thought I'd bring it up to you guys. Just considering that, because traffic has changed since last time, when it originally went through the planning
I
board.
think the planning boards, I mean, as you know, the planning board approved the application. I think the planning board was satisfied with the, I don't want to, you can go to the next planning board meeting and ask that question. They can answer that better than I can. But I think they were satisfied with the traffic study that the applicant provided. And their decision was based on that. Now, I can't say if it's accurate or it's not accurate. I sat through, even though I didn't vote, I sat through all 11 testimonies, for that application. And, they talked about, traffic would be minimal because there's no kids and there's this and that. And, so
Right.
whether the real truth lies in the middle there somewhere, but I think the planning board felt that the testimony and the professional witnesses, if you will, they took them their reports as being accurate.
Okay. So then the next thing I was wondering about is so there's going to be a lot of trees that are going to get cut down. So there should be a sizable amount of money that comes in from the developer for whatever. I don't know if they're going to have a survey ever came out, I don't know the dollar amount they ever came to. We were wondering, as the environmental commission, if we could have control of those dollars to be able to use them just for beautification of the town, and just for planting stuff, as opposed to it going to the DPW, which it goes into a bigger fund and it doesn't necessarily go for that specific to
The
use.
shade tree fund.
Yeah, you know, so we were wondering if that's something that the council would consider giving us the authority to do that. I don't need an answer right now.
No, yeah, and I can't give you an answer right now, but I can tell you that we can have a conversation with, regarding that, but right now, I think as it states, is that those dollars would go into the Shade Tree Commission.
I think it's in the ordinance.
And I think a lot of our, I know our DPW is begging for more dollars too, because we had, Phil's not here, he's our environmental guru, but I think it was the ash tree that really, got killed off. And, I know that our DPW superintendent would like more money every year to replace some of those trees, so, you might have to arm wrestle him for that, but we'll take it under advisement. I think a good plan, I guess I'd love to see, what the environmental commission perhaps would do with it. So I think if we had a business case and our DPW had where they use those trees or the funds that comes from those trees, I think we'd certainly take it under advisement.
I think a recommendation is just as important, right? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you have the power to disperse the funds, et cetera. Your recommendation means more than the money and the control of the money itself. So I would not suggest that the money go to the Environmental Commission, but the recommendation to me is more important.
I know Councilman Boyce he's really on 244. He's been a champion on that.
Yes.
And I know that I would like, and I've said this to him, I'd like to, empower the Environmental Commission to really figure out that 2.2.
Right.
I forget the 2.2 acres, and really let's figure that out properly. And I think the Environmental Commission should have a big say in what happens in that parcel.
Yeah, we've already started talking about
Good,
that. Yeah.
good.
So yes, we definitely want to be involved in that, at least giving some advice about that. And then I guess the last thing is I'm wondering, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, it's probably a planning board question, but the new stormwater regulations, are they going to apply now to the developer? Because those got passed last summer. Or does it get grandfathered in?
Can I defer to our borough engineer if he knows that question?
Yeah, the actual time of application with the new regs, it's pretty complicated.
Okay.
My understanding of it is they would have to comply, but that's one of the first questions we're gonna have to get through when they come back before the board.
Cool. All right, great. That's it for me then. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else from the public? Please. Hi.
Hi, Neha News, 95 Green Drive.
Say one more time.
Neha News, 95 Green Drive. Sorry.
Did you get the name?
I'll probably be able to hear it better on the,
Okay.
NEHAAN,
ANO.
95 Harry?
95 Green.
All right.
Sorry. I know it was like a big concern before, the elderly not being able to pay their driveways and stuff, and I just wanted to, personally talking, I live right across from the school, so there's a lot of elderly residents on my street and on the main road, and I know personally, me and my sister, every time she's home, whenever it snows, we're always paving the driveways, and shoveling the driveways and their sidewalks, and I feel like your concern towards elderly being an issue, I think it should be more focused on more middle-aged residents who are on that street as well, because most of the time the driveways and sidewalks that aren't paved are the ones of those residents rather than the elderly, because a lot of the people in our community actually help out with that. And I walk to school every morning, so there's Miles over there. We live on the same street. And both of us have experienced that, like, every morning going to school, there's ice, there's snow.
You're on 95 Herring, did you say?
Yes, it's right across from the
The tennis courts, right?
Yeah.
Are there sidewalks on that street?
going out of it, going to school.
Just as you get really close to the school, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a major concern because my parents personally, they don't feel safe having me walk, and that becomes a burden for them as well because then they have to go to work late just so that they can drop me off at school. And I feel like you guys were discussing it before, but making sure that this ordinance is passed, make sure that this residents are complied to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
We're gonna have to,
If we pass it, there'll be some teeth in it, so
we need a big campaign to let them know that they must do it.
I just wanted to share with us.
thank you.
Thank you, Neha.
Thank you.
Sir?
Good evening. I'm Peter Ardito. I'm from Harrington Park. I'm the chairman of the Environmental Commission there. I'm also vice chairman of the planning board. Two things. I was asked to come up by some of your environmental commission members, just to let you know that when Pat talked about the tree funding, in my town, anytime that trees are removed on the planning board, and Nicolet Engineering, which we use, determines how many trees have to be replaced. And if all those trees aren't replaced, there's monetary added to it, as you guys do. That money, just so you know, that does go to a fund, a tree fund, which is controlled by the Environmental Commission in my town. I oversee that. And it is only for the purpose of planting trees, or last year we worked with the Girl Scout and we built a community garden. So that went towards the community garden as well. So it's only for beautification, tree planting, and things of that nature that is environmentally sound for the town. So just to let you know that
Sure.
it is something that our town does, and there was no fight about that at all. And I make very, very sure that the money is used properly. Okay. One other thing I would like to bring up, and that is, over the years now, especially since Enclave was built, and I know that Enclave was, if I understand correctly, was originally taken out of the hands of the planning board and went to mayor and council, who approved it, or...
Well, it was part of our, and Brian, you might be able to answer this better, it was part of our third round settlement with Fair Share Housing.
Right, and I-
So it was one of the, I think at the time, 5 criteria that went into that third round settlement. Some were mother-daughter type apartments. We had 1 or 2 other facilities there. That was the big one, okay? And, I mean, it went in front of the planning board. The planning board had to approve it, although it was a affordable housing application. There was only so much that the planning board really could do. And my hat's off to the planning board and Old Japan, because I think they did a lot with a short deck, if you will, to get that wider roads, hydrants where they wanted them, all sorts of things our planning board asked for and got. So it did go. There was some conversations with the former mayor and council at the time, but it was part of our settlement, and then it went to the planning board. But we didn't say, listen, you know, we didn't design the whole thing out. It just said, hey, we're going to submit a plan. This part, this part, this part, this part would hopefully satisfy Fair Share Housing, and that's.
Well, one thing I just want to bring up about that was that since Enclave was built, we are downstream of that in Harrington Park, and Dortalki's Run is adjacent to that. Also, and I'm not 100% sure, but the development that was built on Central Avenue opposite the high school, the townhouses, since those have been built, we have been getting serious flooding in our town because Dortalki Run runs into Pondside Park, which I'm sure all of you are aware of that existence. And it goes through a pond we have there and then exits underneath Blanche Avenue and goes parallel to Lafayette. And we have about 4 or 5 homes that are from the corner of Blanche and Lafayette that then continues down on the, I guess, east side of Lafayette. And they do get extreme flooding now. I mean, really serious flooding. And I'm just saying that with the intense rains, although we had a drought this past fall, but we've had some intense rains, and especially those rains that sometimes we'll get 1.5 inches in an hour or whatever. We have been getting some serious flooding downstream. And all I would like to just request of you all, and again, being a member of my own planning board, I try to really look into this as well, is that when any developments are being done, please think about where all this water from impervious coverage is going. Because I do honestly have to tell you that we have a bridge, we have a walkway that goes around Pondside. And there is a bridge that goes over Dortalki's Run, continuing the walkway. That bridge, since the Enclave was built, that bridge has been washed out, ripped off its foundation 3 times, and we've had to put it back on. And again, the residents on Lafayette have gotten some serious flooding since then. So I have nothing, I'm saying nothing bad about your planning board or about mayor and council, but please, something that I am working on getting together with other environmental commissions in this area is just to work with them, because it's about impervious coverage. And just thinking about that, when you build and do this, that rain still has to go someplace. And in this case, and for us, some of that rain is coming downstream and having a negative effect on our community. So these are just something that we want to try to encourage mayor and councils and planning boards, just think about that, it happens to me, I'm downstream, but, there could be cases where something happens and it goes into Lake Tapan, and you guys could be affected by that in the same way. So it's just something I'm asking all groups, all mayors and councils in the whole area to think about.
Sure. I got a question for you. So you're very involved in Bergen Swan, I think I heard you say.
I am a member
Right.
of the board of directors.
How much input did you have or other counties? Were you asked by Trenton to weigh in on the affordable housing mandates and to build 80,000 units or whatever? What was the state looking for?
27, almost 28,000, I think.
I think it was more than that, but,
We were
I'm
not.
sorry, that's just Region 1,
okay, yeah.
just us.
The only state input we have, along with Hackensack Riverkeeper, is the Watershed Property Review Board. And then it's when any type of building wants to be done by municipality, it has to go before the board, which is run by the State Attorney General and the DEP. And then we were 2 advisory commissions on that.
Yeah.
But other than that, we don't really have any say.
Yeah,
on
it's
anything.
really unfortunate that, again, you've heard me just personally mention, whether it's the Enclave Round 3 and what we're faced with and what Harrington Park's going to be faced with Round 4. I'm sure you know what your number is now from the DCA. The more you build, there's less coverage. The rain has no place to go. I feel bad that you're getting some of our rain down there. We're getting some of the rain from up north of us. So, yeah, it's terrible. So I can tell you that from either the mayor and council or planning board, and we work diligently to kind of reduce our number, because the more you reduce that number, the more green grass we get to have the rain and keep more trees standing and things like that. So it's very high on our priority list, and our hands are tied though on certain things, but we keep trying. We were one of the 27 towns to challenge the state on the affordable housing, just asking them to take a pause, time out. Let's look at it. Let's see if what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. But we didn't get too far with that challenge.
Well, I'm trying to work on local environmental commissions.
Sure.
That we can do exactly the same
Good.
thing. Nobody's against affordable housing. It needs to be done.
No one's against affordable housing.
It's got to be done
Yeah.
in a way that does not cause problems
Right.
downstream and
Agreed.
impervious coverage.
Agreed 100%.
So I thank you very much for your time.
Like to work together. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, didn't you say you were involved with like you had mentioned, it's not a town-by-town problem, it's more of a regional issue, flooding. Wasn't there a study being done by Bergen County or
Well, I know that
New Jersey.
I know that Westwood, Hillsdale, and Rivervale, I think, had did a drone study.
Regional
and that
flood
was
study.
more we did not partake in that. It was more of a concern for them.
Okay.
But it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple math. The more concrete you have, the less place you have for water to go, and it has to go somewhere. It's not going back up into the clouds. So eventually it is, but not until it does its damage. But thank you for all the comments. Anyone else in the public? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would like to just that. My name is Johan Baga, I was 694 in Oldham.
Yeah.
Hopefully I have that complete. Yeah, my name is Johan Baga, I live on 694 in Oldham. In the Birchwood section, we don't have any sidewalks, so we don't really have to worry about cleaning sidewalks with snow. And
Can
so.
you come to my neighborhood? I'm on a corner. I have 2.
Sidewalks?
Kidding.
Are you mocking me?
No. Absolutely not.
So, it is my understanding that nonetheless, there's a 10-foot easement from the curb back onto my property that the town is responsible, has decisions about. So if there were a sidewalk, or whether it's a sidewalk, does that fall into the category of an easement?
I asked that question to our attorney just
Yeah.
before. Maybe you weren't in the room or.
So it's your property, but the town has an easement to put a sidewalk if it wants to, and sometimes other things, utilities, things like that. It's still your property, you're still responsible for it, but the town has the right to place a sidewalk there, for example.
Understood, and that's because right now everybody walks around in the street. But But that would also mean that the town would put a sidewalk on there, that now I have an additional responsibility to keep that
Correct.
sidewalk
Yes,
clean.
yes, that would mean that.
Which, I found a little surprising. Then we're talking about what quality of salt we're gonna have there. And, let's say, if, I'm a senior citizen, so, but I can still plow, snow, clear the snow off. But that seemed to me that if I would go away for a week, for a month or something, then I'm still responsible for it.
Correct, you would be.
And if somebody slips or falls, whether you're home or not, you're still going to be responsible, and your insurance is going to have to potentially pay.
But it's my property.
I'm sorry?
If it's my property, then it's sort of a trespassing. I'm not disagreeing, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, if it,
No, it's a right of way. It is your property.
it always remains your property, it's just the town has a right to put something on it.
Okay.
But you still remain responsible for it, and again, if somebody slips on the ice because you didn't clear it, you're going to be held liable.
So hopefully we won't get.
But we're not gonna put sidewalks, hopefully.
We have
Never
no
say never,
plans.
but
We don't have any plans yet.
we don't have any plans, but
Thank you.
never say never. Thank you. Please.
Good evening.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, how are you? Hi,
Sherry.
everybody. Sherry Fonero, 256 Old Japan Road. Because of what was said, the sidewalk thing, absolutely, they should be shoveled. I mean, when I grew up, or, I don't know, most towns, you have to shovel the sidewalk. And again, you're liable in any case, even if it's grass there and they're walking and they fall, you're liable if somebody hurts himself on your property. So it's a smart thing that the town becomes uniform with other towns. Regarding 244, I wondered, it came up when I was attending the EC meeting too, the traffic survey that was done. What I realized, most of you didn't have the benefit of attending the year of monthly planning board meetings, where the town came out. Congratulations, Juan.
Thank you.
Joining. This was the biggest issue that Old Japan, I think, has faced as far as getting community support, not to build on 244 Old Japan Road, but to make that a nature center or community center, make that land a park and preserve that property. Where it's located, to put an 80,000 square foot assisted living, to cram it into that space, was just the wrong location. It really is simple. It wasn't the best site. So besides that, when they had the tree survey, that their experts, they presented their experts for every category of things, because they needed so many variances, everything they needed a variance, how far from the road, how high the building, all this. And I'm only mentioning it because a lot of you weren't there. They did the tree survey to count how many trees there were a certain caliber, and their expert came back and said there was around 200 trees. And he said they're diseased, they're dead, this and that. Well, there were experts, the town did hire, I don't know if it was the planning board or who hired them, they did hire their own BC. Dave was involved, he was supposed to be here. They hired their own tree expert, because trees are very valuable. And as anybody knows that buys them to put them on their property, you know what it costs when you go to do any plantings. And also the amount of water they absorb once you remove them and clear cut the land. So what they found was what their expert said did not jive with our experts. And there was a difference of almost 100 trees, which is a lot. What came about, I believe, was they offered and valued the trees at $80,000. Now, this was a year plus ago. So one thing that came up in EC is, should your attorneys for this go back and say, we want to revalue the cost of the trees? Because the price might have gone down, they might have gone up, it's the risk we take, but most things go up. And as somebody just quoted, when things go up, it's very hard to bring them down. I think we should get the benefit of that, of what it would cost. Because, us getting 50 trees as opposed to 75 trees makes a big difference with what we can do with that money to beautify the town. Secondly,
So that would be when that comes back in front of the board, that is certainly a question for the planning board attorney. Please remind him that they're separate from us.
Yes, I
planning
know.
board. So that is certainly a very valid point for you to bring up to the chairman and to the attorney.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna be showing up at every
And
single
Bill,
meeting like I did last time.
Councilman Marty, perhaps can whisper in his ear as well. He's serving, on the planning board this year, along with, Councilman Boyce. But, if,
Okay.
Councilman Marty can make that note,
Well-
I don't know when it's coming back. I don't know if they've,
I don't know either, and
Yeah.
that's gonna lead me to one of the things I wanted to ask you. So I would love to get together with you, just to give you an update on what went on, to bring you, so you don't have to read through transcripts, a year of transcripts, which we did. What came up, though, was in the traffic survey they did, and I live right across on the corner of Lakeview. I don't have the corner to shuffle. I live on the corner of Lakeview and Old Japan Road, across from Supercycles or Charles.
Mhm.
And when they said the traffic survey, from being here 26 years, I've seen the increase in traffic. This was before Enclave was before it was built and before it was occupied. So now we've got around another 400 or 500 residents in town that are using Old Japan Road. The amount of traffic, and then also by the high school where I don't have kids in school anymore, so I don't go over there during the school hours. When I hear people trying to get to work and trying to maneuver, I do see it's like a parking lot in front of my house all morning. So what I'd like to suggest, that traffic survey was done quite some time ago, before there was extra people living in town and before all this building. Now we're gonna have the retail space as well. And with the Dunkin' Donuts and food eateries, we're gonna have a lot more people even from other towns stopping in town and driving, not even just driving straight through. So what I would ask, and brought up at the EC meeting, was, I don't know, it's on the it's on the agenda, that we had, was really to ask to do another traffic survey. That it's a bit more accurate, because it's still single lane each way, there's no place for cars to go. And as you probably know, even where everything is situated with the schools, there's so much traffic in and out of the St. Pius Church, because the parents have no place to pick up and drop off the kids.
Mm.
So that's another accident waiting to happen. I know there's
I
already
think you
been
have the
one or
right
two.
to, once it comes back, I think you have the right to ask. I don't know if they're bound to do it or not, but I think it's certainly a valid
Yeah, I
thing
don't know
to-
where the, I don't know
to
where,
ask.
I don't know the gray area where the
They'll let
council
you
has
know.
any influence, but it's something to just be aware
Yeah.
of as a resident
I
in
think
town.
I think you could certainly ask, or have Councilman Marty or
Sure, we'll want to
Councilman Boyd
question, we'll want to
say, hey,
question
listen,
it. because-
this is old data now. Can we utilize new data?
Exactly.
I think it's a valuable, makes sense to ask.
Thank you.
I agree.
And my last favor, request, is for Patrick and myself. Our attorney has asked, the courts has asked to be let out of as plaintiffs in this lawsuit, which we were frivolously named in. And we have not been treated by the council as joint plaintiffs. We don't have the same responsibilities, but our names are right there.
Joint?
You're
And so
separate. You're a
we have-
defendant. We're a defendant.
Oh, that's, okay, well, sorry, remembering it wrong. It's an awkward question, it's just basically, we're saying, let us remove our names from this.
That's the plaintiff has the right to do that or not. I mean, it has nothing to do with the defendants.
I was just going to ask if you would ask your attorneys to request that, because our attorneys have requested it, and I was wondering if the
You-
town attorney
You
would
need to
request
talk
it.
to your own attorney and have them talk to the plaintiff's attorneys.
They have,
Okay? We can't interfere in that.
okay. Okay.
Doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't, not that,
We have
that
no,
would,
we have
but,
no say
I
in
mean, if there's a
anything,
settlement,
like,
I
we're
mean-
not agreeing
right.
to anything. But we're named in it, and it's just really something that's hanging over our heads that really is, just was vindictive. I mean, I was threatened at the meeting by their attorney, so,
Yeah, I was surprised that,
okay, well, thank you.
all right, thanks, Sharon. Anybody else from the public like to be heard on any matter?
Motion to close.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, let's get right into our executive meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gallagher?
Here.
Councilman Benaggi? Councilman Boyce? Councilman Guan?
Here.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilwoman Massaro?
Here.
Councilman Yu?
Here.
Okay, first is our engineer's report. Tom?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Tom.
Take a chair. Not a lot going on this time of year, honestly. Something that just came up a couple minutes ago when you were talking about the stormwater ordinances, and I think, Councilman, you mentioned, I think this is what you were referring to. It's actually the BCUA that is doing a feasibility study to see if a stormwater utility made sense for Bergen County. And basically, the way they described it is it's all based on impervious coverage. So they have what a typical single-family unit has 5,000 square feet of impervious coverage, something like that. So that's one DU, dwelling unit. And then you get essentially taxed based on how many of those you are, and there'll be categories. Are you one DU? Are you in the category of 10 plus, something like that? They break it down into several categories. But it's basically a way of generating revenue to then use for stormwater improvements. And the utility would have the control over who spent the money.
So we pay into it and they could use it in Hackensack.
But it
Yes.
it would be separately, the residents would pay another.
Creating a utility, yeah.
So
Yeah.
they would collect it, and, am I right? They
I remember
would
now.
choose what is gonna get done, whether.
It may not help us at all, but we're paying.
And it's very early in the process. They are talking about having set-asides so that if Old Tapan's residents and businesses pay in a certain amount, you're guaranteed to get some of that back. So it's real wide open right now.
It's like school fund.
But I think that's what you were referring to.
I think I remember,
It's-
I remember having that discussion.
It's out
Yeah.
there.
I
Okay.
know the borough administrators of Northern Valley, they were all, Northern Valley, all these towns around here, they wanted to get together and do a kind of like letter from everyone saying, we're not for this. I think it goes more towards the mayor.
Yeah,
kind of
I would think so too. So,
Because it really is, I don't know, one of the questions was, we thought this was a feasibility study, and it sounded like it was a done deal.
Yeah. Between the first request for information for the feasibility study and the Zoom meeting that we had a few months later, it's now become a mandatory tax, essentially. So it's something that, my personal opinion, a town like Old Tapan is not going to see a lot of benefit from it. You're the extreme.
we're not gonna get our
upstream
ROI back on,
And you're the upstream end of the watershed.
yeah.
All of the water's ending up in South Hackensack and Lodi and Garfield.
We're
and
sending it to them.
those towns that are really having
It's our
problems.
fault.
And I can understand why they would want to raise money to help them. But I don't see you gaining anything from it,
And
honestly.
it does nothing with, because we get it from New York,
Yep.
but it doesn't help us because they can't do anything about that. So our problems will continue. It's just it'll cost us more because we have to pay for their problems downstream, which really wasn't our fault in the first place.
I'll bring it up, I have a Pasco Valley Mayor's meeting next week. I'll bring it up as just a topic, see what they're hearing.
Maybe someone can talk about it at the Bergen County League, also that part of this.
And I'm not sure how many towns are fully aware of it.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, it's going to be law.
it's gonna be
Well,
there.
we even asked in this Zoom, can you give us something to give to the governing body? Nothing was sent.
Hmm.
They haven't told anyone, they're keeping this as quiet as possible until they set it on you.
Okay.
Just a couple other items I was going to mention tonight. We have met with the residents on Perry Street, the Bushes, and I can't think of the name right now, the Rossmans. Believe we worked everything out. Some minor changes to the drawings. We had to resubmit the DOT, and that project will be ready to go out to bid. The concept, and this was not something that the residents were concerned about, they just want to get the work done and get the road paved.
Yeah, and we're gonna do that next year? the
No,
road?
we're gonna do it this
This
year,
year?
and we want to coordinate the paving program with the timing on the other work so that everything can kind of be done in one
Good.
fell swoop.
Awesome.
So that's the plan. So the work, at this point, we're looking to be done in the drainage work probably in May, end of May into June. And then the paving would be done also while school's out, June into maybe July, something like that. And along those lines, we also are working on the 2025 road program for the borough. Just submitted a list of streets to Anna and Andy today. And basically what it is, it's the leftovers from the last couple of years' programs, plus the library wants to be involved with the borough this year.
Yeah,
to
and
try
I
to.
don't know if you want to mention to the library, I think to be, and it was a little high, but it includes the striping, I think.
Yeah.
So he's at 43.
Yeah, you're looking at like a $40,000 number.
Yeah, they had it somewhere around 30. I don't know where they got their number from.
All right,
And I don't know if they're milling the whole thing. We would mill it all out and pave it, so it's a better job.
Yeah.
They might just be resurfacing.
When was the last time?
Oh.
I think, I mean, it's been once since I've been around, but that's been
I think
a long time
done
now.
it for them.
Tom, can I ask,
Yeah.
is Old Farm Road gonna be added to that list for paving? So they've had 2 disruptive water main breaks in the last month.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that one. They are not on the list. And that's really why I just throw it together, send it out. Inevitably, there's feedback from people.
We drive around and look at them, and
I'm just mentioning only because Old Farm Road had 2 of them within a 2-week span. And I'm happy to see that they had already patched up some of the bumps, but it obviously, it will need to be repaved at some point, and that was they were there right away. I have to say, I commend them on that.
Yeah, it might not be something you want to do that quickly then, if it really was that disruptive. We'd have to
Yeah,
take
it
a look
was,
at that.
the second one was bad. There was,
it also depends on when it was done last, because if it's within, I don't remember when Old Farm Road was done, but if it's within the time when we've done it, they have to do it from curb to curb. They have to fix what they
yeah,
did.
I don't remember it being
You don't know.
paved recently.
Okay.
And what they have-
I'm just saying it's not a rush. I'm just putting it on your radar that it was 2 in a 2-week span, and there was a lot of road damage, and
Do you think it's fixed, or is it?
I thought it was after the first one, and then they were back a couple of nights later, so I want to just check on that.
And once we whittle the list down, it goes out to all the utility companies in case they have any work planned on the streets. That's sounding to me like it's one of the streets that still might have cast iron main in it, which is a problem.
Yeah,
And it
they
gets
had
really
reported
brittle as
some
it gets
water
old.
issues before that.
And just to give you an idea, I think the mayor and council was intending on budgeting 500,000 this year for the paving. And right now, the list, as it stands, we're at like 550. So we've already got to take some out. But
It's a small side road. It's not, not
Yeah, again.
highly important, but to the residents there, they just,
and taking out can also mean taking more out and putting other ones in.
yeah,
Can I bring,
That's
small
what we-
road, not that.
you know how I want the
No Irving.
You know how I want
Oh.
the extra parking? Okay. The only reason I'm bringing it up because the fire department paving is in that number also. But instead of putting the parking back here, I was thinking of making the side parking bigger, which means, that island with the trees.
You can't take the tree.
Don't take out trees. Bill just fell over.
We'll plant on the trees, but
We'll plant 2.
you make it
What,
bigger.
between the council parking lot and the fire department parking lot?
And then when we do the
Oh,
parking
okay.
lot, we do the paving with the fire department, so.
That's all.
I'm not talking about, you still have the walkway there. It's just it wouldn't be one parking lot, but you wouldn't have that big mound there.
I don't know, we'll talk about it. That looks nice. I like it.
Streetscape plan.
You don't need parking. Wire.
Tom.
We're not going for.
Mark,
You can take my parking
I have
spot.
one other question. If that's, okay, this was totally separate. Anna had reached out about the Central Ave crossings meeting with the county, so I just
Yep.
wanted to know.
I emailed Jason today,
Thank you.
asking him for availability.
Appreciate that.
So as soon as he's available, we'll meet, and Anna and I were gonna look at the parking lot, I guess we're not.
Let me know, if, you know, by chance, if I'm available, because I work at the high school, if I can pop out,
Sure.
on Central Ave, I'd be
Yeah,
happy
because
to.
this is gonna be a
just
wide
to see
open
the
meeting.
process.
What do
Yeah.
we want?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have,
It
I don't
sounded
have,
like they were willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as long as you meet the criteria, they'll do it. If you have the site distance,
Yeah, the site distance was gonna be a problem on the other side.
it's site distance and ADA compatibility. If the ADA ramps are not
The
there,
ramps.
we've got to pay for the ramps.
Okay.
Unless they're about to pave the road.
where do you want to put, by across from, that new, townhouse development?
Yeah, the one that goes right by the school, not anywhere near the curve, because that's a blind curve, but from Aida across.
We will have a problem.
And you think you have enough sight distance there, huh? Ah, okay, we'll see what they say. Yeah, I thought that would be pretty tight on sight distance.
But the other one, I don't think.
Or at least
they
by
sounded pretty
Chestnut
good about
and
Oh.
Central.
Further up.
Just because kids coming down, there just has to be some crossing somewhere, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'll let everybody know
Thank you, I
when it gets
appreciate
set
that.
up.
Tennis courts are too
Because,
far?
yeah, I would love the feedback.
No, that'd be okay.
They're there now, aren't they?
No, but if you live, in the morning, if you live in Winding Creek or Aida or Northvale and you're walking, there's nowhere to cross from
Take-
Norwood all the way
Till you
to
get to
Harry.
the tennis courts.
So you
Yeah.
really need one on one side, one on the other side. You need two.
It would be great if they let us do it in front of Aida, if I'm saying that right.
Because that's where the crossing guard is, but there's no crosswalk. He's got to run out in the street, and
Yeah.
I don't like
Okay.
that. That's unsafe.
All right, we'll see.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Tom, the library board will call you tomorrow. Give me your number after, before you leave, and I'll send it to the library board. Thanks.
Want me to just email you in the morning?
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything else, Tom?
That's all I had.
Anybody else have anything for Tom?
Tom, I need to get your email address because my emails too keep bouncing back.
It's not, the opt online is not what I'm using, so it's tscrable@scrableengineering.com. It actually still works, but
But how do you have the old one? You shouldn't have the old.
Planning board.
Yeah, it might be from that. When I typed in his name, that's what
and
popped
Scrabble
up.
Engineering looks like it looks odd when you type it out. Just double check this.
Try one now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, moving on to committee reports. Who wants to start? Councilman Vaughn.
Sure. I know we're here late,
You
so I'm
already
gonna,
started,
I always start down there. You want to change it up?
all right.
You want me to go last? I can go last.
You're ready to go. I can tell you're ready to go.
Just really quick, finance, obviously budget discussions have been going smoothly. Anna, do you want to talk about the resignation?
Oh, just for resignation.
Diane resigned.
We had someone resign, the accounts payable, her last day is the 7th. And, we're not in a huge hurry to put someone there. We want to get someone who's good and someone who will last and, do effective. And I think Jessica is kind of overhauling that position so that we know exactly what's going on there.
Okay.
Thanks. OEM, they presented their annual budget to the council. They have set 4 meetings for the year. They're very appreciative of the council's support in helping protect our citizens. This week they have meetings with fire, first aid, TBD, and the high school this week. They're going to include their annexes into their emergency operations plans. And then residents continue to sign up for Code Red. For the library, I don't know if everyone's noticed that the library is closed this week as they install new carpet. The lobby is for pickup, book pickup only. The lobby is open. Thanks to Councilman Benagi for agreeing to do a gardening program at the library. And they're going to work with the mayor and other council people on additional programs. Then they're also talking with the police and fire about Read Across America Week. Thanks to Chief Tracy for reaching out about it. And the library's also applied for discounted Microsoft Office software for their new public PCs. And then the last thing is that they're working on a new fundraising event. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Marty.
Yes, sir, thank you. I don't have a lot today. The Board of Health has their next meeting February 19th. We did get a report of respiratory illnesses still being, there's a lot of hospital admissions, primarily to COVID, influenza, and RSV, so we got the trifecta out there. The schools, reached out to them today, nothing back from the high school. The lower schools, they have actually a meeting tonight that's probably over. Next meeting is February 24th, which I will be attending. And then first aid, they had a busy month. They had 40 dispatches. Out of those 46 were mutual aid, which I actually found that a little low. So that just says that a lot of those calls were in town, so that's kind of important. Their next meeting is also on February 19th. And I will be meeting with them tomorrow just to go over there because they have a budget meeting coming up. Just to kind of look over, and I'm actually going to get a tour of their building. That's basically it.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Councilwoman Massaro.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good job. Thought you were next, huh?
I thought I was.
He did, he was
President.
Okay. Recreation. In regards to the umpire payment process, we believe that Jesse, Gloria, and I have come up with a process that will be acceptable to our auditors. The Google form we created should help us keep 2024 data separate and allow for the creation of pivot tables to track payments and reimbursement for the new fiscal year of 2025. This process will allow us to use the umpire signer that OTBSA wants to use by tracking umpires on our newly created forms and sheets in addition to the Zebra web program. That's the assigner software. This would be for this year only. Next year, they would have to get an assigner who pays the umpires directly. Gloria states, I do want to tell you that Jessie has been a huge help in working through some of these new projects with me. I know she's taken a lot of time, effort, and creativity to find solutions. So I want to thank you, Jessie, on behalf of the Rec Commission for your extra attention on this kind of complicated matter, and we've really worked together, so I appreciate that. Rec winter basketball is going well, and they're in the busy part of their season. Rec baseball and softball registration is now open for the spring season. I will have an update for you on the Little League process after Gloria meets with the three towns Monday night. This is tonight, so I will talk to her tomorrow and get back next meeting on that. Snack stand, Gloria is working on a way to open this for at least one of our fields, and we have a student who has offered to open the snack stand and run it for us, and there are some limitations and options to doing that, including incorporating it as a business and obtaining insurance. A volunteer, this young man would volunteer with the proceeds going back to the borough, and another option would be adding a snack stand position to the fee schedule and paying as a vendor. Next, pickleball. I'm actually going to toss it, knock it, whatever the term is in pickleball, over to court on this because we have a request from a town senior to gain access to one of the schools for indoor pickleball. Since we do not have an official pickleball program in town, we would have to create one if we wanted to accommodate this request. And he's going to be at our rec meeting tomorrow night. We meet tomorrow night. So I don't know if court, if you wanted to, was that what Gloria was referencing, that you had a possible solution for a pickleball?
No, so it actually has something to do with clinics.
Oh, okay.
Different.
Okay, so
This is the first I've heard of.
Okay, so I'll skip that one. And then lastly, this is fun. The spring break multi-sport camp. For the first time, there will be a spring break camp at Stone Point Park this year. This is a very popular demand from parents when the kids are off of school, but it's warm weather out, and this could be a really great program. And then for the summer camp, we posted today our Canva poster about this camp. Base camp dates are set for 6/26 through 7/25, which is 20 days of camp. We'll be offering an additional fifth week 7/28 to 8/1, contingent upon interest and Gloria's availability to fully staff that fifth week. Requested rain date location for camp to be secured either TBD or CDW. She needs 3 to 4 classrooms and 1 gym. She's waiting to hear back on that. And she will again schedule the big hit, First Responders Day at camp, which many of you attended, and it was a great day. She will let us know as soon as she has that date. So that's it for rec. And then fire, I would like to read a letter of thanks from a resident who experienced a kitchen fire in December and who wishes to thank the fire department. She writes, I would like to thank the Oltapan Fire Department for responding to a recent fire at my home on Westcott. About a week before Christmas, my oven's heating element caught on fire. The response from the Oltapan Fire Department, as well as surrounding towns, was swift and efficient. All those firefighters involved acted professionally, keeping me informed as they worked, and were so kind to me, alleviating the anxiety I was experiencing. My family and I are very grateful to have these dedicated first responders to protect us, and we are very appreciative of their service. And I'll keep their name from that record. And then lastly, I'll read the latest report from Chief Anders. Since his last report on 1/20/25, fire department has responded to an additional 9 emergency calls, including 1 minor basement fire. This brings January's total to 15 emergency calls, totaling 124 man-hours and 32 minutes. The report to the New Jersey Division of Fire Safety was submitted at approximately 4 p.m. the same day as the basement fire. The department conducted 1 major yearly training requirement of the SCBA refresher training, whereby all firefighters are refreshed on their knowledge of the use of the self-contained breathing apparatus. The SCBA is their form of respirator. Therefore, this training maintains the department's accordance with PIOSH respirator training. Did I say that right? PIOSH?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Good guess. The fire department was scheduled to complete another important mandatory training, hazmat awareness refresher on Monday, 1/27/25. However, that was canceled and it's rescheduled for March. And lastly, he mentioned, I'm just going to abbreviate this because it's a little longer, but Chief Anders has looked into reaching out to PIOSH for a free and confidential consultation and inspection. And this is something I think he'll be speaking about this week when we meet for the budget meetings. And I looked into this suggestion, and I looked into their website. And I want to point out, again, the inspection would be free of charge since it's to public employers, and the consultation project will provide expert advice that will help in establishing a safe and healthy workplace. No citations are issued for violations identified during a consultation, and no penalties proposed. Historical, nothing new since our last mayor and council meeting, so nothing to say there. Sorry. And then lastly, youth council, I just want to note that members present tonight were Lenoy, Matthew, Neha, and Miles. And I also met with member Yeon and Matthew in the last week in person. And we spent a lot of time discussing their questions and suggestions, and I greatly appreciate their feedback regarding Central Ave, the sidewalks, and the Orangetown discussion. That is all. I'm very sorry that was so long. Thank you,
They're
Mr.
great
Mayor.
kids, great report.
Really great.
They were great to see young people come in and chat like that. Yes.
A quick comment about pickleball. So Gloria just texted me 15 minutes ago, out of the blue, about pickleball clinics for our residents. We had tried that on the basketball courts, even before the courts were done, and we outsourced it. And that outsourcing company, I know them well, right? They're for profit, Montclair Pickleball. They had their trainers come in, and basically they wanted a free facility to attract as many people as they could. It ended up being 90% non-Oltapan residents in those clinics. And so we threw them out and said, no, that's not the way the agreement should have been. She's looking to another third-party vendor that probably would do the same thing. So coincidentally, next week I should be getting my professional coaching certification. So I would do it for free.
Pickleball specific?
I would do it for pickleball specific in Maryland.
Teach me.
I would do it for free, but I know there are other coaches that have that similar certification that would do it for a lot cheaper than a company, right? That needs more money for overhead, et cetera. So I told her, if you want to discuss it in the Recreation Commission, this could be an alternative, and I asked her, how many hours do you need per week? Like, if you can structure something, I could probably fill that at a much cheaper rate than a third party would.
Okay, thank you. We're meeting actually tomorrow night, Rec Commission, so.
Yeah,
we'll
please bring it up.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Christine, can I have one, I don't know, yourself or Anna, we had an accident on a vehicle accident on a fire scene involving a personal vehicle. Is that being resolved, or?
Yes, in fact, one of our ex-council people is trying to help out, make it even better, but it's being handled through the JIF, but only because the other town is part of the JIF.
Right, okay.
So since this is a personal vehicle, basically goes through the insurance, and then we cover the costs. But hopefully it might not have to go that way, so we're working on it.
Do we have to address anything based on fire department protocol?
I believe so, because I won't use any names or anything, but I want to explain briefly what happened without giving away any personal information, but also the question that it's now brought up, a question which thankfully Anna was very helpful explaining to me what the process has been, but now there's definitely some protocol that needs to be discussed. So just in a brief one sentence, at a fire scene, a responding town mutual aid, one of their command vehicles hit our captain's personal vehicle. Within our fire department, you guys could speak to this more than I can, but it's my understanding that the captain is expected to be there in their personal vehicle. We have a command vehicle for the chief and the deputy chief, and then the third person in line is the captain brings their personal vehicle.
Well, they're not expected to be there, they're expected to be at the scene, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be there.
It's been protocol for 100 years.
Yeah.
Oh, to be there, I thought they had to go to the fire department.
No, they respond, and if you know, they fill out an application for a red light permit.
Right.
So that's reserved for the captain, because, so that's, whether it's right or wrong, that's
So
how
that's
it's
the
been.
Pandora's box, so to speak, that's opened up was this member of the fire department, who's one of our line officers, had spoken to me quite often the past week about this, which I then thankfully was able to get some clarification from Anna, and I directed her to speak with you. But the issue becomes, she had to go through her personal insurance and then get reimbursed. So her issue is, one, her rate going up, and two, the rental issue. So this is extensive damage. It's going to require multiple days of the car being worked on. She needs a vehicle to get to and from work. She was working in the capacity of the town. So what this has brought up is a few questions about should this is definitely something that we should look into and maybe just brush up with the
Northville has no additional responsibilities for this out-of-pocket,
rental.
if you will?
It's the same thing as if we had done it. If we had done it, we would have been covering the other person.
Okay.
So that,
But it's going through their personal.
All right, we're not going to solve this tonight, but it's an understanding is, and it somewhat conflicts our borough handbook, but which that was told to me, but I don't think so, because if we're responding to, if EMS or fire leave their homes to respond to the firehouse or the EMS building, they are covered directly to the building, then directly home from the building home.
Yes.
So I guess in this capacity, the fire captain has responded to a scene.
Well,
Is that any different?
But they are covered. I mean,
All
they
right.
are going to be made whole except for
This
their
period,
insurance.
yeah.
I mean, their deductible will be covered, so out of pocket, in a sense, enough, but they have to go through their insurance.
If they're,
We only cover borough or vehicles.
that was gonna be my question. So if they're in a borough vehicle, their insurance is not affected at all?
No, then it's through the borough, but if
And the
it's the
captain's
personal
never had a
vehicle,
vehicle?
no. And that was what
Well,
has come
I
up.
mean, I feel that's horrible.
I agree, she's going through her personal insurance, but that's, what I understand is that's
but it
been,
would be the same thing as if Because the other problem you have is everyone gets these vehicles and now they're using them for all personal use. So every deputy chief, they have them all over the place. They're using them because just in case they have to go to a fire, and now they're going to respond
Sure,
in.
in reason.
With it, but that's something, I mean, a lot of the towns are now re-looking, because, I don't know, it's starting.
Yeah, I know we had,
I think
I think Norwood had an issue or something, right?
Yes,
Yes.
so they have been sending around a handbook or whatever for borough vehicles, because when you should not have family members in a borough vehicle, which means if you take the vehicle and go out to dinner, because you might have to respond, you need to leave your family there if you're going to respond, not take your family back into the vehicle going to, but
Yeah.
within reason, how do you do
So,
that?
so more discussion is needed. We're not gonna solve this all tonight, but just.
I think we should-
Based on that, there's more discussion, and to Councilman Marty's point about the captain not having one, it's, you know, those are, you know, how many do we want, or does the fire department change protocol? And the captain reports to the building and is the first one. So, again, we're not gonna solve that tonight, but this raised something, and I remember it was Norwood, right?
Yes.
That had something happen, and, yeah.
It's worth discussing further, I think.
So, this is just a question, I'm not a fireman. I'm assuming that the reason that the captain responds is in case the chief or the deputy chief aren't able, so they have a command
Yeah,
person there,
I mean,
right?
yes and no. It's you know, in a perfect world, they're all getting there and they set up, you know, in the incident command protocol, which you're familiar with, is that they all have their jobs there.
Right.
Whether they're accountability, whether they're, you know, incident commander, whether they're, you know.
It's a set of eyes and ears on scene before.
Yeah, it's another set of it's another layer of management, if you will. But, you know, and I could say probably for, you know, financial reasons on small towns, yeah, there's only so many vehicles that we
Right.
want running around, and,
I mean, I think also the protocol with the lights, I mean, we get, as far as our job is concerned, we do have a listing of everyone with blue lights, but if they leave the fire department, we have to make sure that their light is taken,
you mean the blue light?
blue light.
Well, they expire. I forget what they're,
Yeah, but if
So if they don't have a
someone resigns, you're supposed to take it back, you
Yeah.
have to make sure, but some of these, you know, like, some of the towns have a problem, because some of these.
it happens, there's no question about it.
Run,
No.
you know, drive crazy through the town.
There's,
Yeah.
I get it.
You were young once.
A long time ago. So, yeah,
That's what you wanted to say.
Anyway, enough said, just, I wanted to just bring it up that, you know, there was an incident that the
We are
that the
trying.
whole council should be aware of, and it might lead to more discussion on protocol, additional vehicles, whatever. I'm just saying it
But
should
we're
be.
trying to help her out.
Okay.
We certainly are.
Okay, all right, that was.
Thank you.
Okay, that was that?
Yeah, sorry, it took a while.
Councilman Yu?
I'm sorry, can I have a question for Christine? Do you know when the rec committee is going to start town day preparations?
Already have been in discussions starting in January. Gloria and I started planning.
Okay.
But if there's,
The fire department really should be involved, because I think we're going to make this an annual thing, cooking for the residents, hamburgers and hot dogs.
We are? Check with
That's
so
a
you
month-
both
amongst
there, you
discussions.
both volunteered your time
You gotta be there for fire prevention
flipping
anyway,
burgers.
right?
Both of you were over
Might as
the
well- might as well
grill.
flip
Maybe
them.
somebody
Maybe a tent dance.
Yeah, the fire department should be involved with those meetings, I guess, and the discussion
Yeah.
of the tent dance the night of town day, so.
Would you like an in-person
Well,
meeting,
why don't,
Gloria?
if I can make a suggestion, Councilman Yu, since you brought it up, why don't you, at next week's fire, company meeting, if you can see if there's an interested party that would like to serve representing the fire company department that might want to serve even on an advisory role with their town day committee.
I will do that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
It'd
you.
be appreciated, thank you.
Okay. There you go. Got that done. All right, anything else? Councilman Yu?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be really brief today. I know. Construction department report, looks like we have 51 open permits, and to date, we have collected 56,000 and change in fees. Our DPW, Andy sends me a monthly report. I'll go over the highlights. DPW installed new security cameras throughout Borough Hall. Maintained all our sewer and drainage easements. Multiple salty events due to the snow and ice that was anticipated. Cleaned one storm. Started the GIS plotting system for stormwater. Employees attended numerous safety training courses like CPR, first aid, AED training, and other classes through Bergen County, JIF, and DEP. A new flag and halyard were installed at the golf course. A leaf machine was brought back to the dealer for warranty work. One of our large salter trucks was brought back to the dealer for warranty works because they ran into a problem during a snowstorm. And they started getting quotes on materials to prep our ball fields and parks for our beautification project. Report of our senior citizens. I talked to them about their budget. Looks like they will be seeking a little more in their budget, only because of inflation. The cost of all the goods and all the services that they use are going up. I've asked them to come to our February 13th budget meeting, if we could squeeze that in. That's admin and rec. Maybe we could give them 15 minutes to present their budget proposals and let us know about all they've been doing. So maybe at 5 o'clock, we'll start them off first. And that is pretty much all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Very, very brief report, since I feel like we spoke about a lot tonight. But I would be remiss, Anna, I'm sorry, but we are still on tape. Big thank you to our varsity football team. I understand that they helped bring in a lot of the food pantry items from someone's car or something.
Oh, nice.
Tonight?
Yeah.
There's a lot of food out there. Yeah.
Crazy. Whoa, so they all came
So-
in
That's great.
and they brought everything in.
So they helped
that was
getting
really
our
nice.
food pantry
Super,
stuff in,
super.
so.
Otherwise, it would have been sitting there, or I would have been bringing it in. Me.
And the only other thing I have myself looking forward to Thursday, continuing our budget sessions over the next couple of weeks or so, and wrapping up what I would hope and expect to be a very fiscally conservative, responsible budget that we can present to the residents of Old Japan. So that's all I have. Anybody has any questions for me?
I'm sorry.
Did we hear anything back from PSE&G about the building, their intentions? I know we
Their
had,
intentions right now is to keep that property, but they do know, should they change their mind, the town will be.
That we're interested.
so we did send an email, that was the reply?
And
Did they say what they're gonna do with
know
it?
that they will they said that right now, they intend to keep the property. They will demolish the building because, but they
Yeah.
don't have their actual plans.
Gotcha, okay, thank
And
you.
they are keeping up, we're making sure they
Yeah.
keep up with their
Yeah.
property maintenance. It's not,
But
the
she,
fence doesn't look the greatest, but they'll
she
keep the.
assured
A
me
lot
that
doesn't
if
look
they
great.
decide to sell, we will be the first to know.
All right, thank you.
Does anyone want a Peter Pan at the high school?
I'll be there.
Yep. Peter Pan.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, one last thing.
Yeah.
I should have brought this up in old business, but Brian, I mentioned last meeting that we're seeking some kind of closure on that ambulance squad investigation. If we could issue some kind of official statement from the borough,
yeah, we would be good to have closure.
yeah. Then we could,
Okay.
I'd like to make some comments too.
Get out.
Okay.
And maybe so that would be something that maybe Councilman Marty would just report on maybe next meeting?
I don't even have any idea of what happened, to be honest with you, because that was last year, I'm assuming?
I can fill you in.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll call you tomorrow.
I don't know, do you just want a letter from the attorney? I mean, that
I think that,
we could not go any farther.
just say we officially decided to close it.
It just needs some sort of closure.
Yeah.
You've investigated as far as you can. You spoke to whoever, right? I mean, I don't need to put words in Brian's mouth, and that we consider the matter closed.
Okay.
Are
Well,
we-
I don't know if, I mean, the mayor and council considers the matter closed.
The mayor, that's who
Yeah.
else we concerned
No, I
about?
didn't know if you wanted it for him to say.
The mayor and council consider, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
The-
exactly, because honestly,
Yeah, it'd be better coming from you, I mean, you were.
had they come in,
It's easy enough for me to write a letter to the mayor and council
All right, yeah.
than for you to really take action. I don't know what action you would take.
Well, officially, there's some comments I'd like to make, but I feel like while this is still under investigation, I probably should refrain from making comments.
see, the reason it's still under investigation is because they never came in to finalize, so we can't go any further, that's the problem.
They.
Anyone who's made any
So they've made a determination not to. I mean, I don't think,
Exactly.
I'm not a lawyer, but you don't wait around for that. Right. So based on
Just
that-
a memo
based on
from
that,
Brian
then
to
it's
us, that's it.
considered a-
I'm happy to do that.
A memo.
Okay. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We're adjourned, thank you. A lot of stuff tonight.
Why was it so?
What?